Welcome to the agenda with me, Lasha Kingsley in Douala, Cameroon. We are a few days into the academic year 2021-2022. The success of students and pupils is the collective efforts of parents, guardians, and other stakeholders in the educational sector. On today's edition of the program, we are receiving a teacher and a counselor who will be telling us more on the secret to success of students and pupils in the educational sector. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. Kaya Eugene, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Lasha. I'm honored. I must say I'm honored.
This is the very first time we are having you on this platform. Can you briefly tell televiewers more about yourself before we dive into serious business?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lasha. Okay, fellow viewers, I'm Kaya Eugene Doe. I'm a teacher and a student counselor. I have been into the teaching field for some time now, and I've come to realize that we both have to fight for the future of these young Cameroonians, since the nation is looking up to the teachers and why not the children who are the leaders of tomorrow. So I've taken this pattern of life to be with them.
We are a few days into the academic year 2021-2022, and we already having sex tapes inundating the social media and other media platforms. Can you throw more light on this and what needs to be done by the various educational or stakeholders in ensuring that the phenomenon is curbed in our school milieu?
Thank you, Mr. Lasha. Sex tapes is not just a problem in Cameroon. To be sincere, I would like to tell you that it's a problem that have eaten deep into this African society, not just African society. I am mentioning African society because it is still new with us because of the influence of the social media. So if we are talking of sex tapes, we are talking of things that students will watch that distract them from their education. I would like to tell that for every problem, for every difficulty, there's always a solution. If children actually have to know that this thing is destructive, I'll first tell you that we are talking of education. We are talking of children who are going to school. And so what should they do? What should parents, what should the children themselves do before to be able to keep this thing out of the society? The first thing is to be purposeful. Let them be able to know the purpose of which they are in school.
How would a child in Form 3 or Form 2, as young as they are now, know the purpose of probably life or going to school? Some of them, they are just excited over nothing, trying to, dig deep into some of this thing to try and see for themselves.
I believe that is the reason why they have parents, and that is the reason why they have teachers. We are the main backbones of this education. We are the people that are supposed to sit these children down, educate them on the importance of education. I believe on their own, they cannot actually always select what is good and what is bad. But I would like to tell you that there are some measures that can be put in place to make sure that our children should not go wayward in this particular area. For instance, educate your child on what is good and what is bad. You realize that most of the time children suffer like this because of ignorance. Even the Bible says that my people perish because of ignorance. Now, I would say some of these children do it because they think it's just a way of getting happy, it's just a way of connecting with the world. No, I believe if we, the parents, the teachers, take our responsibility appropriately, I want to say, there can be a change. Sit your child down as a parent. Tell them the importance of their education, why they are even going to school. If a child knows that I am going to school today maybe to study and become an engineer, study and become a doctor tomorrow, a writer tomorrow, I believe if we motivate them with the type of words that will make them to know their purpose, I think most of these our children will tilt away from such
You've been moving to, touring schools in the economic capital as well as some parts of the southwest region to educate children. When you go to classrooms, what do you tell these children when you meet them in the classroom? What do you tell them?
Whenever I get into class, I have one focus. What is my focus? The success of the child. And I believe that for them to achieve this success, first they have to know some of the things to do to be able to succeed. For instance, I will tell you that I have a lot that I tell these children. I walked around with a little document that serves as a guide to these children. Yes, in it, I believe there are certain things that a child must do as a student. For instance, at the beginning of the academic year, I tell my children, always begin with a goal in that year. If a child has a goal, let's say for this year, I'm in Form 5, maybe the child is in Form 5, and you need 10 papers, maybe 10 A grades, what should you do? You should understand that you must pay a price for every good thing that comes. Yes, so when I get to class, I get to know the difficulties of my children just by the first communication I have with them. I ask them questions, let them come up with their various difficulties. At times, I even go a long way to see that I discourage them from some of these activities like this juvenile delinquency we are seeing today in a school milieu. I think there are many things at times when I get to class, I try to tilt the minds of my children, the students, from it. For instance, you will see a child in these peer groups in school. One is moving with those who will give them that notion to practice taking drugs in schools.
So how do you make sure that your child, knowing all this good, how do you make sure that the child is not influenced while in school? As a parent,
how do you make sure
that the child is not influenced in school?
Okay.
Or derail from the original goal of the child?
At this juncture, I'll come to tell you that the PTA will set in, the Parent Teachers Association. You have to understand that if our children must succeed in school, it is not a one-way responsibility. It's both the parent and the teacher. If the parent allow everything to the teacher because the child spends more of the time in school with the teacher, it is going to do us more harm than good. What I'm trying to say here is there should be a close communication between the teacher and the parent at home. Let there be a daily report on the activities of the child in school from maybe the teacher to the parents, and maybe from the teacher, the parent to the administrators. When I'm talking about administrator, most of the time I'm talking about the discipline master, who is somebody that is always there to make sure that the child is upright in school. So some of these activities are prohibited. Let me say they are totally prohibited in every school in Cameroon. And so if a good school that has a good mechanism that have been put in place to make sure that there is discipline, there will always be a report of the children's attitude. And when the parents get in contact with these administrators, with these teachers, you'll be able to understand what the children are going through, or what are the difficulties, how to stop some of the ills that they are finding themselves in. But I'll tell you that the best way to solve a problem is not by going through the harsh way, but by the soft way. What do I mean by the soft way? Like parents be able to sit their children down, make them the best friend. The first friend of a child, of a student, should be their parents. If you get close to your children, you probably know when they are wrong or when they are not themselves again. So let's be friendly to them. Let's create time to be always there to advise them, to give them the guides that we need to give them. If we do so, I believe Cameroon will have more reasons tomorrow to smile. Because
let's talk about the role that school administrators must or have to play in ensuring that learners get good results at the end of the academic year. What concrete rules should the administrator, or specific rules should the school administrators play in ensuring that at the end of the year the students or pupils get good results?
I think to an extent, the poor performance of children in school at times is blamed on the administration or the school administrators. I want to first say at this point, We are talking to Cameroonians who are listening to us both home and abroad. If we are saying administrators in the school milieu, what should we be saying here? I want to draw your attention to the government, to the public sector, government schools in particular. The administrators should understand that they have a role to play as far as giving Cameroon a better picture out there, giving our children a better future. So the first thing the administrators have to understand here is that they must be responsible administrators. When I talk of responsible administrators, let them should understand that the success or failure, the failure of one child should at much bring them pain like that of the parents at home. So let the raison d'etre, let the main reason of every administrator being in office should be what? At the level of seeing the success of children. I know we cannot do without money, but many administrators have taken money to be the focal point of the administrator. So focusing more on the child. Just like a good leader, if you lost one soul as a leader, you should cry for that soul. It's the same as a school administrator. Talking of the principals, let them be able to be committed to their service. Let them be able to be committed to.
If I understand you well, you're trying to say that some of these school administrators, they don't take care of their teachers, the teachers who are teaching the children.
Exactly, Mr. Lasha. See, I have been in many schools around in Douala and out of Douala. I have come to realize that some persons, when they give them power, you see the beast in them. Some of these school administrators don't give an inch time to the teachers, to the staff, whom I realize, when I look at it, it baffles me. Because being a principal, if they ask what's your profession, you are a teacher. You were once a teacher in the classroom. Even being a principal, you are supposed to get into the classroom.
About this exorbitant PTA levies that some of these principals, for example, they collect, and they are not managing the monies very well.
That is the case. I think some months ago, in one school in town, there have been riots in the school with the part-time teachers who happens to cover more than 50% of the total staff in that school. But the principal at the end of the month, the last month, refused paying the people's money, of which that same money have been disbursed by the PTA for it.
We gather information that was not just the only case. We had other. In short, it was something there was no double standard. It applied to all the secondary schools in the littoral region. None of them paid the last month's salaries.
No, if you say so, I will tell you that the information is not that valid, because I personally know of many of those government schools that paid that last month. Even those that did not work for that last month were paid. So I am saying this immediately at the time that information got to the media, immediately after that, most of them started paying the teachers. But in that particular school that we are talking about, nothing was done. It's just to tell you that our administrators are irresponsible. Most of them are irresponsible. Let them carry Cameroon in their head. Let them be patriotic citizens. Being a patriotic citizen means that you should be able to know that Cameroon lies on us. So the good of Cameroon starts from us.
Let's leave the public sector now. Let's go to private schools. We have some private schools around that they collect exorbitant fees. Up to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, but they pay their teachers 100,000 francs, 50,000 francs. What do you have to say to that?
That is a situation, when I look at it, I laughed myself. It's because I think the government of Cameroon is actually neglecting that part of teachers. Part-time teachers, whether being a part-time teacher, a permanent teacher, or whatever, I want to tell you that the role of a teacher is being minimized in this country. The worth of a teacher is being minimized in this country. I can cite you even nations that they don't play with the teacher's salary. The teacher is well paid. Yes.
Gabon,
yes.
Equatorial Guinea.
There are countries in Africa whose per capita income is lower than that of Cameroon, but teachers are highly paid, even 3 times what teachers get here. You see that you are a teacher in Cameroon, you are unable to put on a good dress and get to class. You get to class, your children laugh at you because of the type of dressing you are putting on, maybe the shoe. At times, when I look at it, I laugh because when I was a student, there was a time that I had this scenario with a teacher who will come to class. Students will not want to learn. They keep on laughing. He will be thinking that the lesson he's giving is the best without knowing that they're laughing at his shoe that has turned and is open on one corner. When I look at it, I say, that means they're giving us the picture that people should not go in for teaching. Most of us teaching today, like I, for example, I'm not teaching because of money. I got many potentials that I can give out and have what I want in this country. But we do that because of the zeal and goal to see that we should follow that goal of nation building. We have to build a nation, Cameroon, and everyone should be able to play his or her role at his own pace.
Those listening to us, if they agree that they have to play their role. Now, let's talk about this other question. How can the present educational system in Cameroon guarantee good future for these kids, assuming that the teachers or the stakeholders, they have to play their role now? They have all come to terms that they have to play their role. So how can this, our present educational system, guarantee good future for our children?
Okay, Mr. Lasha, I will want to say things here without mincing words. The present educational system in Cameroon, being whether the theoretical part or the practical part, I want to say the government of this country have not been sleeping on that area, because we have seen many icons leaving this Cameroon, even abroad. International, you have international engineers from Cameroon. We have international journalists from Cameroon. We have the best journalists from Cameroon. We have in every field, we have someone from this country who have studied in this same country, not out of the country, but at the end, we still see success. That's why I'm just trying to tell you that with the creation of, with the rise of these professional university, professional schools, whether owned by the government or owned by private individuals, you realize that the government have given an opportunity for the students, for the Cameroonian youths who want to learn and transform themselves into who they want to be. There is already an opportunity. There is already the probability that they can succeed. Listen, Mr. Lash, I want to draw your note to this. This success we see, it is something that is very relative and it's not universal. But just that at times when some people get to school, they study and they cannot succeed, they learn to push blames. When I move around even to schools, I tell my children, being a responsible citizen, a responsible student, don't push blames to people. If you are in class, you feel it says because of this teacher, it's because of this. You realize that you are not taking you are an irresponsible person. And at times you must be responsible for your irresponsibilities.
If I go to school and read history or read anthropology, what do I intend to achieve with anthropology in Cameroon?
You have studied your society. You have studied your society.
Economy that I should have been focusing on agriculture or some other sector that is still very virgin. I go reading anthropology. How do I intend to put food on my table with anthropology in Cameroon?
Sir, if you ask me that, I'll tell you that I might not be an expert in that area, but I want to say this. I have one belief that I put in the minds of my children. Any field of study you choose in life to follow, you have chosen it because you have chosen it rightly, because I believe that anything we do, we can make success out of it. Reading anthropology, as we are talking about there, it can also give that child the opportunity to be like those who have been in that same field and succeeded somehow, if not in this country, maybe out of the country. But I believe there are many in this country, maybe I may not be able to quote some, who have made it out with that.
After leaving school, you're able to create job for yourself, put food on your table, employ other Cameroonians. That's what we are talking about.
Okay, but
does this kind of educational system guarantee good future for our kids?
It actually does. I would not like to call to you maybe some professional institutes that have been put in place to see that they train young Cameroonians to become entrepreneurs, they train some of them to become business tycoons, they train some of them to become what and whatever. But I want to see, I always tell my children, before you get maybe to the university after the high school, or even before going to the high school, you should make sure that you are well oriented by an expert, by somebody who understands the country, understands the educational system, and should be able to know that whatever step you are taking should not be a wrong step. I want to tell you that I was also a victim of such circumstance, that I went to the university to study something else that had it been I was well schooled on it, I wouldn't have been doing that. By now, I think I would have been something else. And it's now that I realize that I've decided to get back to the university and see that I follow my dreams. That's just to tell you that anything you do. I read English language in the school, in the university. Today I've been teaching. I have edited a number of works in the country. I want to tell you that as a Cameroonian, have this spirit never to give up. Never to think that this thing is too small to bring me success. This thing is too small to just have that fighting spirit. Just the knowledge is sufficient enough to give you an open mind that bring you the success that you desire in your life. Thank you.
Let's talk about the role now, the role of parents, the role that parents play in ensuring that the educational success of their children is guaranteed, at the end of each school year, because most of the parents, they don't have time. They leave in the morning, they only come back in the night tired, and they don't care about what happened within or in course of the day in school with their parents or with their kids, sir.
As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Lasha Kingsley, I told you that the parents can actually be powerless or ignorant about the things that children will do back in school if they don't create a good connection with the teachers and the administrators of that school. So the parents have a lot to do. For instance, back at home, the child will be with you as a parent, sleep with you in the same house. You should be able to give yourself enough time to know that I may take away my cell phone from my child to make my child to concentrate with the book work. You can equally be that type of a parent who have studied the child so well, and you understand that this child is a determined type. There are some people in their nature, they don't work with so much control. There are people that can do bed well, even without putting more pressure or surveying them. I hope you are trying to get me here. So the parents should be able to know that if within the school week, from Monday right up to Friday, let them take away the remote controls from the children's hands for them to be able to concentrate. Let the parents equally be able to know that they should not give much work to these children that weigh them down, even with their assignments or with their studies. We believe that, we also know that, I'm not forgetting the fact that most of our parents, more than 90% of them, they do struggle to send the children to school, and most of the time the children will support them in that move by maybe doing a business or doing whatever. But please, I would like our Cameroonian parents to understand that this education we see, we should do our best as parents not to be the reason why our children are failing. Maybe
let's talk about this other issue, the choice of the educational institution that our children go to. The success of our children equally depend on the choice of the educational institution they go to. Do children, or are they supposed to have an upper hand in the choice of where they have to go and study? Should they decide? Are they supposed to decide?
Okay, thank you, sir. That's a very complex and pertinent question. You see, not every parent will allow the child to choose where to go. Like 2 days ago, I was talking to one student who asked me of the institution she should go and register in. I directed her and I gave her a reason why she should go there. And she was very ready and happy to have known that I am recommending her to such an institution. But at the end of the day, she told me that the parents have refused, that she must continue where she were. Yes, I am not against the parents' decision to maybe make the child to stay where the student was. You realize that there are many of these parents who make the children moving from one school to another, maybe because of one misunderstanding in an institution who should have been the best option for that child. So I want to see, as far as choosing the type of institution for children to go to, let the parents come to reason with the child why that child have decided to go but to this institution. And the parents should not just accept because want to accept. Give yourself a time to reason. I want to tell you that in this educational the educational system in Cameroon, success in Cameroon needs a lot of concentration for us to listen, understand before we'll be able to resolve many problems. So parents should be able to listen to their children where they want to belong and know the reasons, and equally make some findings to know if that place is a good place or not, to be able to allow your children go, not by just always dictating you be a scientist, you read science, you do this, without actually checking where best is this child, which institution will be best for this child to follow, and why. Don't just refuse.
Okay, your last word. We are gradually coming to the end of the program. Your last words for students and pupils, as well as parents who are listening and or who are watching us at this time.
Okay, my dear listeners of my major Prime TV, dear Cameroonians, dear students, dear parents, to the students and pupils out there, I want to tell you that the academic year have already begun. And if actually you desire success, you should know that there is no gain without pain. So what you have to do is to make sure that your soul, your spirit is fighting against the flesh. When I talk of the flesh, you always like to sleep, you always like to eat, you like to play. That is the desire of the body. But give yourself that discipline to know that this is what I want this year. I want 10 papers. It is beginning from the start of the very first day. Have a timetable of activity for yourself. Do your best to see that you follow it. Except you are sick, God will stand by you. And always put God first. Whether you are a Muslim or you are a Christian, we all are striving for success. And Cameroon will smile if only we get back to studies and understand why we are in school. Keep aside all those indecency we see in the society. Immorality, that is not what will make us to have a better Cameroon. I believe anyone who wants to get to me, you should get to me through my Facebook page, Kaya International on Facebook, Kaya International, I repeat. That is where you can easily get me. I have been doing this for some time now, and I believe we can only succeed if we understand and get to work. And even when we don't think that we have to do this, let's force ourselves to do it. The best way to do something is to start it. When you start it as a child, that if I'm a literature student, as I pick up this novel to read, if I don't finish that novel, I will not rest. And when I'm reading this novel, I must have asked my teacher, sir, what should be that thing that when I'm reading, I should jot and learn out of this novel? After this, always get in connection with your teachers. Put yourself in examination condition, even when you are not writing exam. After reading this particular portion of work, is it maybe from history? After finishing it, take past questions. If you are an examination student, even if you are not a student of examination, bring the question and write as if you are in the examination hall. After which, you take it to a teacher to correct you. I believe a good teacher will not reject such a student. But above all, I want there should be a spirit of resilience. You people should be constant, persistent in what you do. If you make a decision today, stand on it. We both shall change the face of Cameroon through education. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Kaya Eugene, for coming on today's edition of the program. We're glad you accepted or you honored our invitation. You abandoned children in the classroom to come talk to the entire world. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
Truly, sir, I am honored. I will say I'm honored. I pray some other time, I'll be here again with us to tell our citizens what we all have to do to make Cameroon a better place.
Thank you for coming, sir.
God bless you.
Ayoba, your all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, read, play, pay, and listen to music. Enjoy Ayoba with MTN. Download Ayoba now.
This training has positioned you to be a major player in the fifth industrial revolution and made you arrowheads for the pursuit of the Sustainable Development Goals and the African Union's Agenda 2063, and of course, your own country's 2035. Your training has underscored the fact that artificial intelligence is all around us, from self-driving cars and drones to virtual assistants and software that can guide you when moving from one city to another in Cameroon.
With ICT, digital transformation, you improve on what you are doing. So I cannot imagine somebody trained in ICT saying, I'm looking for a job. Because you can, looking at the society, create your own job. ICT is very important.
With ICT, you find it easier. You can be an entrepreneur with your ICT knowledge. You can develop applications, you can develop websites, you can do a lot of things that will attract people to patronize you.
My final words to you are that as you go forth, always remember the following. Your communities need you. Cameroon needs you. The world needs you. You have been prepared for the task ahead, and the time to prove it is now. There will be challenges, but you have all it takes to deliver. And delivery is important. Go out there and make us proud. Thank you very much.